an application for a certificate of appropriateness at 182 Dean Street in the Borum Hill Historic District, docket number 15-9747, block 195, lot 28. And this is a modified Italianate-style row house built in 1859 to 60. The application is to construct a rooftop addition, and this was heard at the public hearing of September 23rd.
Good morning, Carousel of Landmark staff, 182 Dean Street, was presented before the commission on September 23rd and no action was taken. The two-story row house with basement is located on the south side of the street with Hoyt Street to the west, east-west, and Bond Street to the east. The proposal presented at the time of the September public hearing was to construct a pitched rooftop addition here that was visible over the primary facade as well as the rear facade. There was a break in the street wall at points along Bond Street. The proposed pitched roof structure was set back from the front facade and sat on the rear facade wall and was clad in EFIS, the exterior insulation finishing system. The commissioner's discussion focused on reducing the visibility of the proposed rooftop addition, including reducing the height, studying a flat roof design, setting the rear facade back from of the addition from the rear facade, as well as utilizing a different material for the exterior. Currently, the block has two rooftop additions, one on Bergen Street right here, and one within the row at 178 Dean Street. 182 is right here. The proposal today, the proposal has been revised as follows, which includes setting back the rear wall of the rooftop addition from the rear facade about 2 foot 4 inches to align with the existing addition at 178 Dean Street, reducing the height of the pitched roof structure by about 2 feet, and cladding the addition in standing seam metal. So here in the original mock-up structure for the initial proposal presented at the September public hearing, you'll see the wood frame structure resting on the rear facade wall. The architect has implemented yellow tape showing that the setback of the rear wall of the addition as well as the reduced height here. And the architect is here to answer any additional questions.
All right, questions?
Visibility? Okay. So here, near the end of the presentation, you'll see visibility from over the primary facade, the street wall along the corner of Bond and Dean Street. Visibility has remained the same over the front. From the rear, over the break in the street wall over a one-story garage, you'll see the reduced height and setback of the revised design for the rooftop addition. So on the map here is 182 Dean Street. Visibility of the rooftop addition from the front, from the corner of Bond and Dean over here, and then visibility of the rear addition over the one-story structure.
Can you see the addition of, can you see from the main street the rooftop addition of 178 Dean?
From Dean Street?
Yeah.
That
Okay.
What?
She said she can't confirm whether we can see
At
that.
178 Dean Street, there's an existing rooftop addition. I don't remember.
And do you know whether that was commission approved, or was
It
it?
was approved by the commission.
Okay. All right, are there questions for the applicant? The questions, Roberta?
Is
I
there
can-
something to show the difference from the original to now? I mean, it's hard to see the difference. Is there like a drawing or something where you see them side by side and see that?
There
is
is not in
reduced?
this set. I have the previous set, if you'd like me to pass it around.
No, it's just, it needs, I'm just saying in
Right.
terms of comparison.
Right, I think
feel
the-
difference.
Right, Roberta, I think the only place where one could see it is in this, and can you just show where the line is? So the,
Maybe I'm missing that.
yeah, so the previous one went like what? That, okay,
That
so,
was the- Okay, so the
okay,
top
and
of
now-
the previous one was there.
there, right, and now the proposed is, that line does that. So it's set back also, is that correct? It's,
That's right.
so it
Setback
sets
on your
back?
side? Mhm.
Yeah.
that's kind of what you see, the difference. Yes,
Just a question
Michael, yeah.
about the materials. It says metal,
okay,
and it says standing seam metal. Is there a pattern? I assume it's all vertical. What kind of
right.
metal?
Why don't we have the applicant, why don't you come forward, and we'll reopen the
We have a
hearing?
couple of samples,
Okay, thanks.
and it says standing seam.
It will be the vertical seams.
Okay. So it's a painted steel.
Yes, big amount.
Yes, please. In fact, if you can just come and stand, because others may have questions for you. I know that we had,
And I'm joined by Lydia Orsi
Okay.
of my office.
all right. I know at the last hearing, we had a lot of questions about the pitch of the roof. We wanted you to reduce it. I know you've made some, obviously, you've relooked at it to see how you can reduce the height. But do you still need the pitch? Can you flatten the
Yes.
roof?
Well, if we flatten the roof, then we're at risk of Department of Buildings requiring a parapet, which is required by code for an addition of this footprint.
Even if it's just a very small, I know we talked about this before, even if it's a very small area that you have above this, you would still need,
Yes, so that's the difference between a penthouse and a story. We're originally not a penthouse because that would have to be less than a third of the entire floor area.
can you go
We have
to,
the code provision if you want.
all right, but if you can just go to the first page of your presentation where you've shown the section.
That's much.
Okay, yeah.
This one? Or
Yeah,
would you
with the
prefer
the section?
the codes, the zoning section? This
Yeah,
one?
this is fine, okay, where you've shown the addition. So if you, let me just come up here. If you did something like this, what would happen? You'd have to put,
We'd put a parapet there, and the addition would become visible.
We'd have to put a 40-inch high, either parapet or railing or a combination of both, but it has to be about 40-inch.
Where are you
At
saying it
this
has?
point, just parenthetically.
yeah,
The addition is visible from Dean Street,
Mhm.
but only down Dean Street at a specific point. At this corner is
Mhm.
not visible from across Dean Street, looking at the building directly. Just, I'm not sure if that was made clear.
But it's still visible from Dean Street, just not.
Yeah, you have to be down.
Can you just
3
point
or
out
4
where you would,
doors.
on the map, can you just point out where you'd be able to see it?
You can see it from very near this corner, right, Lydia?
Is that Bond?
Bond.
Yeah, the intersection of Bond and Dean.
And again, from like the mid-block, you can see over the garages.
Right, and
Well,
then.
You
okay,
can see over the
on
garages from the
Bond,
mid-block,
only
right.
on Bond can you
Right.
see The back. And just over that 3-car garage.
Okay. Other questions? I know that we had concern about that. We also had concern about the material, and I know that the commission has approved different types of material for the rooftop. This change to metal, is satisfied with that, and then we can talk about the visibility. We have, in the past, I think, supported this kind of material, right? Is that right, Michael? Okay, so that's one thing. In terms of the visibility, I guess they have certain limitations as to what they can do. If they did a flat roof, they could put some kind of light railing, but they would have to put a railing, and that would increase the height. Thoughts or recommendations?
It seems that the other additions adjacent or nearby are flat-roofed and do not have parapets. And is that an age thing?
It is correct, so we've actually looked into that. We have been in contact with their code consultant who actually worked on the project. He has confirmed that we would need a parapet or a railing, and I told him, well, I didn't want to sort of point any fingers,
Out
but
them.
they
Mhm.
don't, and this guy, I don't know how they got away with it.
In other words, a code is, by code, they're required to have a parapet too.
I understand.
They
For their
don't.
top, you're saying for that roof that's not occupied and not, whatever,
Yeah, they would, code says they are required to have a parapet. They agree. They're not making any moves to build a parapet, but it is required by code.
And those rooftops are visible from some points along Dean Street? The other additions?
Yes, we have not photoshopped out the tree to show the other addition.
Yeah, okay, that elevation, yeah.
You mean other, but you're talking about other buildings.
The other buildings that have
Rooftop
additions,
additions.
those additions are visible from the
Yes,
street?
Absolutely. Rear additions as well as rooftop.
Right.
And just with respect to the code requirement for a railing, the commission routinely approves railings. We can often approve a cable wire mesh railing that's very transparent, and it has to be 42 inches high. It's a typical rooftop feature, so it's something that
Right.
even the rules allow for.
Yeah.
Well, we can
But
ask them to,
on party walls, the parapet must be solid, fire.
What has to be solid?
On party walls, the
Uh-huh.
parapet must be solid and fire.
So you're talking about
So
then
three- yes.
the wall between the buildings, not?
Right.
Uh-huh. And so you're saying you have to build up there, that's what you're talking about for your
Well,
wall?
both must have
Uh-huh. You're not talking about the front
plus
or the rear?
parapet or
Uh-huh.
parapet
Uh-huh,
or,
uh-huh.
or railing if it's not a fireproof requirement.
And so there is just no way you can think of to make this work, because it's still, in terms of visibility, I don't really see I can't see the difference. I know you said it's 2 feet, but it's still.
We've made it smaller,
It doesn't.
lower, and set it back. So we've gone as far as, put it this way, we've gone as far as our owner will allow us to go in terms of making it smaller, lower, and setting it back.
I mean, I think your question about flattening, to do something that is more in keeping with the other additions, I suppose, rooftop additions in the area would be somehow a little bit more appropriate. And for me, the issue of visibility is less of an issue.
why don't we recommend that they actually try and do a flat roof and do the more transparent railing? And they can work with
I
staff
think we're
on
going to find that looking at the views,
Yes,
and I think looking at the section,
Yeah.
it feels very wrong in terms of scale relative to the building. But I think in looking at the views, I'm convinced that if the parapet walls had to be extended vertically, the views from the visible points in the public way would be significantly worse.
okay,
You
So,
think so?
It's
Okay.
interesting, when you look at the elevation,
Okay.
if 178 was legal,
Mhm.
they actually come right about where your
Mhm.
peak is
Okay,
in terms of visibility. So this is actually
Less
preferable
visible?
to what
I see.
that.
I'm open to that if the commissioners feel that that's.
I think a case could be made, perhaps, not from the historian in the group, that there could have been roofs with some slope on townhouses of this vintage.
No, I don't.
All right, never mind.
Well, okay, but I think if the issue is about visibility, then it seems that the slope actually may make it less visible. Are we fine with that? And as long as the material is addressed by staff to make it, I think actually they're choosing a material, but that has been used by the commission before.
And one other thing that you could look at is there, normally we require that rear additions be set back at least 3 feet from the rear facade. They're proposing 2 feet 4 inches. That's another opportunity maybe that you'd want to consider.
So in other words, to sort of make them set back another,
See if it helps with visibility.
you know, for me, the visibility on, let me see, it's what, is it on the side street, the oblique view doesn't bother me that much. And if there are other rooftop additions along Dean that are seen and this is setback, I'm just more thought about whether the pitched roof is the right response here, but in the end, I think that the visibility is not significant and overwhelming. So we're here, are we okay with the pitched roof as an option instead of the railings?
Others are.
I need to understand, Roberta, that's yes or no?
I suppose I could go with that. I maybe would like to see something else tried, but I guess I'm understanding now that the parapet walls would be higher if we did the flat roof, and so we'd be in the same predicament in terms of visibility of walls or something. What would happen if it were pushed back, if it were closer than then I guess the 2 feet, does that gain anything for visibility? I guess it does.
It gives you, it becomes less visible from the side street.
Yeah.
But I don't think it makes any difference to the visibility from Dean. Do you have do you have any pictures of the Dean Street visibility over here? Just, if you can point that, 22? Okay.
There it is, from the corner.
I can't even see it. Sorry.
Point it out.
Oh, see this little gray there?
Okay, so it really is.
We cleared out the branches of the tree a little bit to make it more prominent.
Right. It seems to me the issue really is like if you choose the right color, it'll
Yeah,
just
what does it look
disappear.
like
So
is
if
the
it's,
issue.
I mean, we usually do the dark gray. It looks like they got dark gray there.
okay, so that sort of blends in with the sky, presumably. Okay?
Yes.
I think that's okay.
I would prefer to see railing than I would to see a metal box up there, but a metal slope roofed box, but that I'm fine with this as well.
Right, and I think at some views, when you have the slope, sometimes you actually see to the edge and you don't actually miss, the slope kind of disappears into because you're looking at an angle. So sometimes
Into
you
the
just see-
volume of the.
Right, exactly. All right, I think we're
I
ready
think
to.
and
vote
part of
on
it's, I think the presentation, because it's just kind of this unadorned one-line jobby, it kind of
Right.
makes it look worse than I think it would if it were maybe a little bit more elaborated with what's there. I mean, one is imagining the standing seams and whatever little detailing that would have to occur around that, however minimal it would make it a little bit less, get a little more scale. But I think I can imagine it as being okay, and I think that if staff can keep an eye on it, it's okay.
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 Any other
Just one last
Yes,
question.
yes,
So, and
Rebecca.
what would happen if it were lowered, just lowered a foot on the inside?
We wouldn't be able to get into the bathroom
Is 6 foot?
on one end of the, we do want to keep a code minimum height for the interior.
I understand that. If it's code required, then it's very hard for us to push them to do something that's not code compliant. Okay?
What sort of a rooftop should a brownstone have?
Well,
Michael?
I think Sarah can speak to some of the variations
Yeah.
that we've seen in the past. You want to just give sort of an idea?
I mean, the commission has historically sort of tried to get at non-visible or minimally visible additions, which usually involve a very square box with a minimum 8-foot ceiling height on the inside. In other cases where the visibility blends in with the surrounding roofscape, we've allowed for some variation on that, depending on the roofscape in which it's seen. And then, of course, a proposal for a visible addition, such as a mansard or something that evokes a studio window in Greenwich Village, has also been done, but that's something that's much more visible. So in the case of something like this, the approach has been to minimize its appearance.
Right, but you said that minimize appearance is usually in concert with square, flat-roofed, whereas the mansard is a stylistic proposal that we might want to see here, but this is not that.
This is not that. And that would be an overtly visible addition to the street facade, right? So that would be
So we're
a
using the
different
visible
approach.
idiom on the non-visible option. And so that's why it seems there's a bit of a,
Visibility would be, I mean, if we did ask them to set it back the extra 8 inches, there would be a nominal reduction in both the height of it and the visibility of it.
Can you, I'm sorry.
If we asked them to set it back 3 feet instead of the 2'4", obviously the ridge would
Right,
come down a
definitely
tad, and
from the side view.
visibility would go down a bit.
Yes.
If this photograph were taken yesterday, I'm just trying to get a sense of how visible this is. It's a very helpful tree in terms of obscuring it. But
Right. Well, foliage does obscure sometimes. It's in winter probably that you'd be able to sort of see it in spring
in fall.
and fall, yeah.
Okay, so then I think then, without changing the shape and all, that at least they should look at pushing it back so that you just reduce the visibility to the extent possible. That's all.
Okay, so that means, the applicant is over there, so it means setting back another, would be 2 feet, 4 inches, 8 inches.
Yeah.
Okay, so they can,
Just whatever we can get, it should be.
I think 3 feet is what we've normally required, or it's sort of a standard that I think the commission has felt comfortable with in ensuring that. Okay? All right, good. Okay, Michael, you want to read it?
Sure. Regarding 182 Dean Street, the application is to construct a rooftop addition. I recommend approval with modifications, finding that there are other rooftop additions within the Rowan block, and a modestly scaled addition would blend in with the roofscape. That the simple fenestration of the addition and standing seam metal cladding will harmonize with the facade of the historic building. That the rooftop addition will be set back from the rear facade to align, will be set back from the rear facade, and will preserve a sense of the building's original scale and volume and its relationship to the row. That the building has no significant architectural features which would be lost or damaged by the construction of the proposed rooftop addition. However, the applicant will set back the rear facade of the addition so that it is 3 feet from the rear facade, and lower the roof accordingly, keeping the pitch the same.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? This application's been approved.